Hey guys, I wanted to show you guys the perfect dodge team that I've came up with. It runs 2 men of arms and 2 houndmasters following that. In terms of trinkets, the first man at arms is going to have a camo cloak and a ancestor's coat, which gives 15% dodge. Unfortunately, I don't have a second one of these, or else my man-at-arms will also be wearing that. But I don't know if it's actually possible to get 2 ancestors cloak. So we'll see. Hopefully, I can find one. If anyone knows, let me know if it's possible to get 2 of ancestors items. For the dogs, one of them will be wearing a spike collar with a camo cloak. This spike collar isn't necessary. I mean, it's nice to have the bleed chance and the bonus damage, but it could just as easily be replaced by, say, a sun ring or another damage item. If your build doesn't have as much dodge because you're not as high level or you don't have camo cloak, you can just put another dodge item here and that's perfectly fine. It'll just make the runs a little bit slower. For the second, we will run camo cloak as well, but I will actually switch the ring to a Eldritch Slayer. This gives me plus 35% damage against Eldritch, and since we're going against the Incarnate Flesh, that should help us a little bit. That's it. Let me show you the quirks. These aren't actually optimized for this particular build, but it's good to have the stun resist just so that your man-at-arms is at 100% stun, so you don't get stunned and be unable to set up on the first turn. The other ones are just because I like my man-at-arms with a little bit more protect and a little bit more damage. Same thing, stun resist on the second one. The hounds, I don't actually have the best quirks for them. Ideally, you want on earring, which is plus 10% damage to range, which would drastically increase the damage for hounds carry. And really, all his attacks are range unless you're using blackjack, which I'm actually not running. Alright, so that's going to be the setup. Let's give it a try. Provision wise, you want to stock up really heavily on food, just because while the Houndmasters can self-heal, there is actually no heal for the man-at-arms. Right? So your only healing, in case you ever get hit, is going to be based on food healing. I'm going to put just the usual stuff. 3 of that, and torches. Torches you want a little bit more of, because your items are based on torch. I'm going to put 2 since it is a boss fight. It'll be a little bit shorter than most other fights, and I'll show you how this works. So I'm going to embark. Since my guys are at slightly higher stress, I'm probably going to feast first round, so I'm actually going to have a couple extra food for that. Alright, so first room we're actually going to camp, just because that allows us to set up our skills, our camp skills. So feast, just to get rid of the stress. Here, the 2 key skills are going to be instruction, which is 20% damage, or that's the main thing we're using it for, and tactic. Right, so I'm definitely using tactic, plus 10 dodge to the other 3 players, or the other 3 heroes, and tactic on the second one. So right off the bat, we have 20 dodge on each of the Houndmaster, and then 10 on each of the man-at-arms. Here we have various options. I personally, I like using instruction. On this one, what I'm going to actually try just to make it extra safe is I'm actually going to maintain equipment on the first or on the second man-at-arms, since he's the one without the Ancestor's Cloak. We're going to try out maintain equipment, so now he should be at 22 dodge, right, which makes him safe in the early rounds. Since this guy has Ancestor's Cloak, he'll reach 100 by the second rounds of buffs, so it's not necessary. Instead, we're going to use the instructions on the hounds with the Eldritch Slayer ring. Right? I mean, the ring can switch places, so that's not a big deal. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to have the instruction on the Houndmaster with the damage buff already, and what we'll do is just switch out the rings after. Alright, this part, I like to just be extra safe and take off the cloak and the ring. The ring's for sure staying off. The cloak is going off at the current moment just because after you rest, there's a small chance that you get ambushed, and so we don't want the minus dodge and minus protect going into that fight. Alright, so it looks like we made it safe through the night. We will put the cloak back on here, but this Houndmaster will still not be carrying the ring. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit and I'll show you guys the fights. Alright, we should be coming up on the boss fight. Unfortunately, I didn't actually run into any monsters on the way here. I'll just show you guys how the team works in the boss fight, I guess. I definitely overstocked for this mission because I forgot the fact that boss fights in the Warren are just so ridiculously short. But I mean, this is what I would usually run for a medium dungeon. Like I said, more if you're doing actually a longer dungeon. So before we go into there, let's make sure you put the Eldritch Ring on this Hound. Just because he is the one with the damage buff, so he's going to be the one we're going to try to stack all the damage on. Spike Collar for this one. I'm not sure how dog treats work, like whether or not they could be stacked. So what I'm actually going to try is stacking both dog treats on this one Houndmaster and see how that works out. Yeah, let's give it a try. So everything is good. Let's make sure our torch is at 100%. I mean, with this build, you definitely want to be at 75 or higher, like to be getting your dodge bonuses. Okay, let me show you how the fight works out. Alright, so the first round. So for our first round, what we're looking to do is quickly boost the Houndmasters up to 100%. Notice even before any buffs or any current active buffs, we're already at a static of 65. So with a guard dog on the first man-at-arms, you go up fairly quickly and reach. The Houndmaster should reach 100 by the end of the first turn. It's at 90 right now, but we're still missing 2 buffs from the man-at-arms. The second Houndmaster guards the other man-at-arms. Make sure you don't chain them or stack them, because that will actually cause the guard to fail and you won't get the buff. The second man-at-arms also does bolster. So now our entire team, our Houndmasters should be at over 100. Both man-at-arms are going to be bolstering for the rest of their turns. Since we have such high speed boosts, they should all be taking turns before the enemy will be. And so let's show you that. So bolster on both men-at-arms. Okay, I'm going to test this out. So once again, this is our Houndmaster with Eldritch Ring, and since these are Eldritch, we should be able to do a lot of damage to them. We're going to try using a Dog Treat for the buff. It looks like you can't use the second one, so that's good to know. That means we still get 6 rounds of Dog Treat if that's needed. So we use Hound's Harry because it does hit all 4 enemies at the same time, has a small chance for bleed, and mainly it'll do a ton of damage to these guys, the hearts. As you see, that's 10, 19, so roughly 25 damage. And with the bleed, that's another 9 and 9, so you're looking at 50 damage or so. The second man-at-arms bolsters. But the second Houndmaster will be using... Let's try using the second Dog Chain. Let's see what happens. So we're going to use Dog Chain on both and try to burst this boss down quickly. Since he does heal, we don't want to drag the fight out to too long. Right, so bleed everything, great. The second man-at-arms, now our numbers are 92, 99, 117, and 117. Right, so with the second bolster, now everyone should be at 100 for this second round. Remember, our first round was protected by the 2 Houndmasters, and the second round, everyone's at 100 already. So we're at a very safe place, and this is why we don't want to drag out the fight. Right, we have these hearts that are healing 9 a turn. The bleed is great. Having 4, just being able to stack bleed on every single part is going to do a ton of damage for us. This is a little unfortunate, there's no heart, so all these are going to take less damage than normal, but that's also good since they don't heal. So let's just use our Hound's Harry. Hound's Harry. And our 2 man-at-arms are going to be still stacking bolsters. So notice, with the buffs, they only last 3 rounds. So as the rounds go by, your previous stacks of bolster will fall off, but you should be able to at least maintain 2 to 3 stacks of bolster every round and keeping your dodge at a very high rate. Right, so all these are not really gonna harm us. I have noticed that even at over 100% dodge, you can occasionally get hit, so You do want to watch out for that. Just realize that it is possible still to get hit, even with perfect dodge. Here we're at 92, but that's only because once again the recent buff ran out. But that's okay because before any of the enemies get to take a turn, most likely the man-at-arms at currently 33 speed will be taking their turns, boosting you back up over 100. So let's finish this. And this is the good thing about the biscuits, or the dog treats. The fact that you do get to stack so much damage for a quick burst on the boss fight is great. Alright, look at that crit. I'm not even sure how much damage that was, but... And that's the fight on Formless Flesh.